Now we are going to look at some of the Kani weavings, the real Kani shawls. These were actually made in two sizes generally. One was the rumal, which is this size. Rumal means a handkerchief, and it's a square shape. And these were also mainly made as shoulder mantelpieces for the kings to wear. So they would typically, a square would be folded into a triangle. You'd hold it like that, and then you'd sort of drape it on your shoulders. Well, let me model it for you. Not a very good model, but so you'd wear it like that over an Indian outfit, and they're very regal looking, very sort of. This is again done in pashmina wool, vegetable dyed, and these are first made out of hand spun pashmina wool. Sometimes they used to mix other materials, maybe fine wool, to give it a little more strength. And then the yarns were all vegetable dyed. Once they had spun the yarn by the process like I explained to you earlier, these were hand spun with various different spinning processes, and then subsequently hand done on a hand loom. They use the Kani technique to weave them. So what they do is that they used to make small panels, and they initially started by mixing different designs together, and you'd have different weavers who would create a shawl. Could be, when they started weaving shawls, which let's say we are talking of post the Mughal period, they used to make shawls where 2 or 3 weavers would weave shawls, and you would complete a shawl between 2.5 years. There was a big demand for such shawls in Europe, from France, from England, and a lot of the kings used to present these shawls as gifts to visiting heads of states, and these were considered to be very luxurious, and also status symbols. To be able to own a Kashmir shawl was a really big thing. In fact, there are instances where these were also used as possible bribes or generous gifts to visiting people from other kingdoms. There are evidences of some people sometimes rejecting them or not accepting the gift because it was supposed to be such a big thing. This is again early 19th century. This is, the center field is a rectangular or a square center normally, and there were a few different styles in these things in the Kanis. If you see, this is a paisley pattern. This typical pattern is called a paisley, and the paisley shawls or the Kanis were different. They have different symbolisms in different parts of the world. In India, they are supposed to represent the cashew, the mango, or sometimes the lychee fruit. And in fact, there is a town in Scotland called Paisley, which was again a place where they used to manufacture some of these shawls, which were imitations of these shawls, which are woven on different looms. We will show you some of those examples also later. But if you see the grandness and the size of the paisley, the palla is a really huge. This is a really huge size of palla, and these are called doshalas. Doshalas means that these are double shawls, and these were again King Akbar used to wear shawls such as these, and there were different ways in fashion where how you used to wear them. He used to wear them in 4 folds initially. Which was the norm, where you fold this into 4 folds and just put it over your outfit as like a stole or a sash. But towards the later part of his rule, he changed the weaving style and actually would drape it in full body. So you'd hold it and then you can actually pull it, drape it fully over your body, which is very warm. Again, look at the quality of the natural colors and dyes. The beauty of it is that you can't, from the front at least, see the joints. Here you can see that they have been made in different panels, like that one there. There's a joint there from the back. I don't know whether you can see it from that point. And even here, So these are made in different panels, and then they are all joined together. When you talk of a real Kashmiri shawl, it is the hand weaving, double twill weave interlocking, double interlock weave.
Is it therefore fair to say that almost all original jamawars are always from Kashmir?
Not always. They can be done in Punjab, they can be done in Hyderabad,
But India?
but in India, yeah.
Always
All the, there were some shawls that were also made in Kerman in Persia. Actually, there is evidence to suggest that shawl weavings also used to happen in Persia before the Mughals came here. But the quality of the shawl weavings were not as good as what was produced in Mughal India. The Mughals really patronized fabulous art form, and they had brilliant weavers in Kashmir to weave shawls.
And sorry, I don't mean to sort of bombard you with questions, but just out of curiosity, when you say India, you mean erstwhile, sort of undefeated?
Yeah, of course. Lahore also was also one of the famous places for
Ranjit Singh ruled there.
Absolutely.
But also when you say that it was patronized by Mughals but done in India, someone presumably taught the technique, or did the technique?
Yeah, I just told you this. King Akbar brought in master weavers from Persia to teach.
You said that in the relevance of carpets.
No, even in shawls, and it was more so in carpets, where Indian jail carpets have become really famous and sought after. But it happened in shawl weavings also. So here in this example, you know, they generally did it in a few different styles, where you'd either have some of these shawls which had the big rectangular or the square centers. That was one style of weaving. This is again another one from 1825, 1850 sort of period. And if you see these ends, this is pashmina. After they made this, they dyed different colored fabrics. So you know, you take a white colored fabric and you dye it in different colors. So you start with a white, black, green, red, and then you do a patchwork. So they cut it up and then they join it, stitch it, and then there's a hand embroidery with the flowers done on it, which gives it a little more decorative sort of look. This is also another of the same style of shawls, but see the dramatic design and color. You know, this is the called a serpent pattern. These are supposed to be you know, snakes, and the snakes were symbols to sort of protect the emperor. They were sort of supposed to save him from, you know, or they were supposed to act as you know, warriors or whatever you want to call it, but protect him from anything happening to him. See the quality of the dyes, you know. So for the reds, they used to use madder. Madder is a creeper, and you get a red colored flower. They used to also use pomegranate for red. The seeds of the pomegranate you used to get red. For I told you the browns were gotten out of walnut. For yellow, they used to use marigold or saffron. For blues, indigo was very commonly used. A turquoise like that, they would have used a stone dye. To get green, you make blue and yellow and then you mix it. And there are different types of dyeing, you know. You have direct dyeing, you have vat dyeing, you have modern dyeing, where you use different types of moderns to get different colors and different shades of color. Again, if you see that this color is not consistent, you know, the colors have changed over a period of time. And this gives a feeling of movement in the piece. Again, it's a very good example of a shawl where it's not flat, where if it was a chemically dyed piece, which generally happened with all new shawls, the colors are more uniform and much more flatter. This is a star pattern. If you see the center field, they're supposed to bring you good luck, you know. It's the symbolisms of each motif, you know, there are lots of meanings to them. Then you had some styles where you have the center field, which is a square or a rectangular shape, and within the same area you have other kani pieces that are joined together, which is a slightly more tougher thing to do as opposed to just having a plain center. You know, this is another weaving style of the same type. This is again made in the early 1825s, 1830s. They actually lasted this long because a lot of the times post 1850, post 1875, a lot of these shawls became out of fashion, and people started just storing them in trunks and just folded and wrapped and only used on special occasions like a wedding or something. So you may go to a few weddings in a year. That is one of the reasons why they survived. Also, it being pashmina and or wool, the condition is absolutely immaculate. As far as colors are concerned, because these are natural colors, the colors don't fade. Whilst if this was a new chemically dyed piece with sunlight or with exposure to sunlight, the colors do change enormously. This is called the Four Seasons shawl. There were different types of weaving patterns, and this has actually two design elements. It is called the moon shawl, where if you look at the center field, that is reminiscent of the moon, which was another very important design feature in Indian shawls. And this is called the Four Seasons. It's apparent, you know, you've got four different colors. Actually, the red one color is slightly lighter than the other if you look at it closely, and it's supposed to depict the four seasons of the year. And you have the similar, you know, quarter pattern of each one of those on each side. This is also another different style made in Punjab. This is a Jaipuri shawl. This is from Jaipur. It's a part of a large size shawl. It's the Kani technique again, and again it's really fine. If you see some of the Jaipuri shawls, they are much more thinner than some of the heavier Kanis. And another good way to measure a good Kani is to see the thickness of a shawl. You know, the thinner it is means it's got a better workmanship and a better skilled weaver who's woven such a piece. This was another weaving technique which was done, where these shawls were made in thans. Thans are like yardage, and these were made for the Maharajas. And actually Uncle Bobby will tell you, because he comes from a small principality where they used to make made in rolls and kept as stocks, and eventually when you were making an outfit, you would make something out of these yardages. So this one is from Jaipur. The next one, this one is from Iran. This is the original. This is made in Kerman. These are called the Qajari weaves, which were during the Qajar dynasties in Iran again. This is a signed piece. If you see where Satvik sitting on that corner, it's got a signature on that piece. So you can see that is either the signature of the person who wove it, and there were some very famous weavers, or it was a signature for whom it was made for. So this is again another one of those Persian style, like we were talking earlier, but this is again that Kani weaving in the Persian style.